Okay. All right. Well, here we go. So, Workshop Wednesday, take it away.
We're going to call it Wing It Wednesday because Audra and
Ooh.
I decided that we want to talk about open houses and the marketing we do for open houses and follow up. But I don't know what Audra does and she doesn't know what I do. We're going to wing it and just kind of freestyle this today and be just as excited to learn from each other as we
Yes.
are to give you guys this information. So
Awesome. I can't wait to watch the recording. So, I'm going to turn off my video and allow you guys to do your thing.
bye, Matt.
Hi.
All right. So yeah, this is the first time Audra and I have done this together. We are truly winging it. So this is
Yes.
this is gonna be fun. Um, so I thought it'd be good for us to talk a little bit about open houses because we're getting into that spring season, that open house season where open houses are just becoming a big thing. And both Audra and I built our businesses off of open houses. So why not talk about what we are doing? So how many of you guys on here actually do open houses on a regular basis? Cool. Cool, cool. All right. Well, hopefully you find some of these nuggets helpful. And we'd love to hear from you guys and chime in as we're chatting through this. But as we, I do open houses pretty regularly. For the last 6 years, I've represented a builder. So pretty much every Sunday of our life is dedicated to 1 to 4 p.m. open houses. So this has become a pretty regular thing for us. And I found some things to be pretty helpful and other things to not be so helpful. So for us personally, so my mom Peggy is on here too, and we've have been doing a lot of things around open houses for years. But for me personally, obviously it's very important to make sure you're advertising in the MLS. For us here in Iowa, as long as we're advertising our open house in the MLS, we show up on Zillow and all the fun websites that show the open houses. But I also use, I know this is going to surprise some of you that know me, Facebook to do a lot of my marketing around social media. Put an event on Facebook. I will do some videos and previews, sometimes like a couple days before the open house, just reminding people that we're coming in there. And then I hit up Marketplace or some of the group pages that we have. We have some different like pages here in Iowa for open houses, and always make sure to put my open houses and such on Facebook. And that's kind of where I start and do the majority of kind of that initial advertising. And I'm big on if I have a new listing, I list on Wednesday so that I can start that advertising kind of just right in a line with getting everybody worked up and planning. If it's an existing, like new construction, then we will just kind of run advertising consistently throughout the way. Audra, what about, do you do anything Facebook wise or advertising?
So I have not been as outgoing on on socials as you have, working on that. I get at ours in the MLS as early, the open house specifically, as early in the week as possible. Like Monday, Tuesday is usually my goal. And then I start my two things that have driven the most traffic. I track numbers, and I always ask, I have a survey that asks people where they found out about the open house. But my two number one things are signs. I get them out a couple days early. And when I say signs, I don't mean like one in front of the house and one on the corner. I have a rule that I will not put out less than 10 signs for an open house. Even if it's on the corner of a busy street, I'm going to go into every possible way into that neighborhood and make sure that no matter what, people are going to see my signs and going to be able to get to my open house. I'm also really strategic about what house I choose. If I am wanting to do an open house in a neighborhood where it's going to take 6 turns and 3 U-turns and a roundabout to get to the house, I'm out on that because people are not going to get there. So I try to choose an open house that is pretty accessible. And then the other thing that really has helped me drive traffic is calling around the neighborhood the last couple of days before, inviting them to the open house, also using that as a way to say, hey, I'm expecting a lot of people will probably either be under contract this weekend, and I'm gonna have a lot of people that want to be in the neighborhood, or someone's gonna come in and really love the neighborhood but not love this house. Would you ever consider selling your house? And using that as ways, one, to get them to come into the house and see it because all the neighbors want to see it. And two, to hopefully pick up some other listings in the area as well. But signs and calling, those are the two things that for me have driven the most traffic to an open house.
Yeah, and I agree. I like your 10 sign rule. We have at least 6,
Yep.
which isn't, but I think the 10 signs is definitely good. And I think if you've got your name on the signs, it's actually good for branding because people think they see you everywhere.
Yes.
So I think that's a good tip. It doesn't just help for open houses, but it helps with the branding too. And then I haven't done as much of the circle dialing. We have done like door knocking around the neighborhood and inviting the neighbors and kind of the whole pick your neighbor thing. I do a survey too. I find it's really hard to get people to sign in, but if I do a survey and I say, hey, the sellers are just curious of what you think of this house, would you mind filling out a survey before you leave? I always tell them that, like when they first come in, I'm like, there's flyers here. I've got a survey. The sellers would love to know what you think of the house. If you wouldn't mind filling that out before you leave. I've tried things like giveaways to get people to sign in. I don't find that really helps or makes a difference. I don't know if you've ever done that before, but it's like,
Yeah, similar. I kind of combine the two. So on my survey, I always set up as close to the front, of course, as I can. I tell people they have to at least fill out the contact portion. The seller requires it. It's a security thing. We've got to have people sign in. And then I have a sign next to a big glass bowl that says for everyone that fills out a completed survey, like the whole thing, feedback and everything, they'll be entered into a drawing for a $50 gift card. I don't do a drawing after every single open house. I might do it once a month or once a quarter. I don't put a timeline on the sign. There will be a drawing at some point. And every now and then I would have people like, oh no, I don't even want to fill out the contact information. And because nobody really wants to give out their personal information, right? Especially these days. And I promise not to spam them. And if there's still a whole lot of pushback, I just say, hey, I totally understand. I don't like to give out my personal information either. For this open house, though, I have to have everyone sign in. If you want to set up a private showing, I would love to do that for you outside of this open house. But if you want to come in and see the house today, you're going to have to sign in. I have never had anyone at that point really refuse. They've always been like, oh, well, okay, that makes sense. And either go ahead or cool, let's set up a showing. But I've never had anyone get mad at me about that. And yes, I know that the whole goal for the open house, we want to get all that information, but it is also a security thing, making sure that you do have track of everyone that has come in there. I've got some interesting open house stories where I am very glad that I at least had a list of people that were in that house. But yeah, back to the giveaway, having that sign, that helps on my side anyways, getting that survey.
yeah, and I know I've heard of agents who even put the sign on the door, like basically so people know like if you're not signing in, don't come in kind of thing too. I like how you tag that though. Like I'm happy to do a private showing later, but for this open house, I like how you tap into that. That's a good way to make them feel like you're not just trying to collect their information, like it's just a must if you want to see. So I think that was a great tip. I think most of us on here are with brokerages that use KV Core. And I know KV Core has the Open House app, which is supposed to be a great tool. I have not used that before, but I've heard a lot of people have had success with that as well because it goes right into their CRM and you can follow up from there. Also, one thing I forgot to add that I do use on KV Core for advertising is you can pull up your listings and do Property Booster for your open houses. And I actually get a decent amount of good buyer leads from that too. So that could be another option if you're advertising your open houses to use that Property Boost. I can't remember which one it is, but and you get leads and you're advertising your open house out there too. So I think that's a good way. And it's pretty reasonable. I think it's like $40 or $45 is the open house package. So not too bad from that perspective. Do you ever do any events at your open houses or bigger open houses?
So I haven't done like huge events like where there's an activity. I saw someone recently, this is the first time I'd ever seen this here. They did a clay painting thing at the open house. And in my mind, I'm like, that's a mess. And kids and just that I wanted to go, but I couldn't get away to it because I was like, I need to see how this is working. But I have done like planned it around a happy hour time or partnered. I love to partner with vendors, lenders, insurance agents. I've had appraisers partner with me before, home inspectors, and the more if the more they're involved, they're going to share it as well, and they're going to try to get people because they want to be in front of all the same people, just like we do,
Yeah.
and that has helped. And it's just more fun to have more people in there, even if you and the inspector and the insurance agent are the only ones that come through sometime, because sometimes that happens. It's more fun than sitting there by yourself in an empty, unfurnished house for 2 hours.
Oh yeah.
But
And safer too.
absolutely. But I do think it helps also with traffic to partner with those events. There was one that we did really close to the university. There, it was a complete remodel, very much like 20s vibe. It was a really, really cool house. So that evening we did a big open house, had sponsors, had we had like a whole charcuterie spread and drinks, and just it was just a really fun. We had live music. We've done stuff like that, and it was a lot of fun. That was probably the busiest open house I have ever had. But it sold, and I got a lot of good business out of that one. I still, to this day, that was 6 years ago, and I still have business specifically from that open house.
Yeah. I really like new construction makes this part a little bit easier, but I will actually marry up my events for sphere of influence with my open houses and new
Nice.
construction. So we would have things like pictures with Santa or Easter egg hunts. We've done like little like giveaways where you come and you sign up and you can win whatever bigger prizes, where we've partnered with lenders, all kinds of different things like that. But I do like to do events. Oh, we've had like latte trucks come during our open house, and then you invite your sphere and you give them something you're giving them something of value for free too. So I do like to partner up, or kind of pair those two up at least a couple times a year when possible. But yeah, I think events can be a great way. You just have to plan those obviously a little bit sooner than the Monday of your open house.
Something else that the latte truck made me think of it. Get creative with when you do your open house. It doesn't have to be Saturday, Sunday, 2 to 4. Get really creative. There, I had a listing across the street from an elementary school. And so I got a coffee truck. We did an open house from 7:30 in the morning until 10:30.
Yep.
I had so many moms and dads. I mean, so many people coming over, one to get coffee, two to get the open house. We got 4 offers that day. It was, it was crazy. And just thinking through that, like, oh, I'm across the street from a school. When are people going to be here the most? Pick up and
Yep.
drop times. Or I have a listing on the corner of a busy street. When are people going to see that most? After work, during the week. So doing it from maybe 4 to 7 on a Thursday. There's no rule that says it has to be Monday or Saturday, Sunday, 2 to 4. My favorite times on the weekends was really 3 to 5, because everybody else in town quit at 4. And that last hour was always the busiest for me. So how can you just make yours a little bit different so you don't have as many people trying to get the same people in?
I just realized my laptop's unplugged. I'll plug that in a second here. Hopefully I don't die before then. But yeah, and I think you're right. Luxury, the wine and cheese open houses in the evening tend to do really well. So it's sort of, what is your kind of knowing I always talk about the avatar of people that you're targeting, but it works with open house clients too. Knowing your avatar and when you think they're going to be most likely to come to your open house, and what types of events or things you can do to pull them in. So really just, a condo is probably going to have a different group of people that are going to want to come in. You like a condo downtown than a first time home buyer house. And so thinking through that as you're working through planning your open house and your times and figuring things out for, you know, special fun things that you can do for these people, I think is really important. So what about, we talked about surveys. How do you do your follow-up after the open house?
So one of the best things anyone ever told me when I first started was your open house does not end when you lock that door. You have at least about an hour of time after to get everyone into your CRM. I used Boomtown before. Now I'm learning KV Core. But I would go through every survey and put them in there. Even if on my survey they marked that they were working with another agent, I'm still putting them in my CRM and putting them on a drip campaign specifically designed for people who are working with other agents, making sure I don't cross any lines. But hey, if you ever need something, I'm here. I always send a text and an email with a link to that house. Even if they were like, I don't love it, I'm going to send it to them, say, hey, here's the house you were at. Thank you so much for coming by. I'm here if you ever need anything. And then the same thing in an email. So it sounds really repetitive, but they're seeing me in all these different places.
Yep.
And I have an open house drip campaign set up. Well, I had it in Boomtown. I will have it in KV Core soon. And just start following up, hopefully getting an appointment, whether it's coffee, Zoom, something in that next week or two to connect with them. And I know in the survey you said this wasn't your house or you didn't love this neighborhood. I want to find out what you want so I can find that thing for you. And not giving up. There are so many people who just go to open houses for fun. I had kind of a weird following of people for a little bit that would just show up at my open houses. But a couple of years in, whenever those people are finally ready to make a move, whether it's buying or selling, they've been following me for 2 or 3 years. Who are they going to call now to list their house or to help them buy? The person that they hang out with every weekend. So not giving up after 2 or 3 weeks if they haven't responded, but continuously following up, having them on some kind of drip plan, something for life.
Yeah, I've had clients that have come from open houses that it's two or 3 years later, they're finally reaching out to you. And I think the trick is not to just assume if they don't talk to you or they ghost you that they don't want to work with you. We're just all really busy. But I do same thing. I really like KV Core has basically it's a bomb video that you can do. And I like bomb because when you're leaving a video message in their email, it kind of makes you move a little bit. And that I think just draws in some attention. So I do like to do bomb videos and just, you know, thank them for coming through, kind of reminding them, you know, letting them know that I'm a resource if they need anything. We do put them in our KV Core as well. And then we have drip plans to follow up with them. It's a variety of calls and texts and emails. And all of those things. And then also I will take our sheet of contacts and I have different audiences I've built in Facebook. So you can do targeted ads and target people specifically as well. So that's kind of what we do with our follow-up. And I agree, the follow-up is key. Rarely, I've had a couple, don't get me wrong, where people have walked in and they're ready to write an offer on the house. Those are the best, but that's the exception and not the rule. I think more often than not, it's been through the follow-up that we've been able to convert them into clients. And having the conversations during the open house too. So I try not to, everybody does things a little bit differently. Even my mom and I do things differently. I try not to quite follow them around. I introduce myself, I talk to them, I tell them where to sign in, let them kind of walk around. If we've got something unique in the house I want to point out, I'm going to maybe pop into the master closet or whatever and show them how the pull downs work or whatever. But I'm not following them every step of the way. And then when they come back upstairs and get ready to leave, then I kind of stop and have a conversation with them in the doorway before they leave, ask them what they thought. A lot of times it just leads into, you know, are you guys looking to buy now? Or are you just kind of out browsing? Are you nosy neighbor? You know, like asking those questions to just kind of understand where they're at in the process. And then as soon as they leave, I write down notes about them, what we talked about, because I won't remember it. I won't remember it 2 minutes later, but then I can put those into KV Core too, so that I can talk to them about, like we had someone that had a son that was going into an electrical apprenticeship program with the same electrician my son works at. So we're going to write that down. We're going to let them know, and we're going to talk about that when we follow up with them. So I think that's the best
One
ways.
thing, this is, I mean, like I said, I have not been huge on social media, but this one thing is something that really I got a lot of traction with. I'm sure you can do it in KV Core. I'm again still figuring out all the new things, but in Boomtown, I could do a search for any open houses that were on the market and save that link and post that in my stories. Or, hey, if you want to know what all open houses are happening in the area this weekend, here they all are, every single one of them. Go look at it, and when you find the one that you love, reach out to me to make that offer.
Yeah.
I have made, I don't even know how many contracts I've written up because I've sent buyers to other open houses. I haven't even been in the house.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, we saw this, and so we went and looked. We didn't want to bother you. And I'm like, that is excellent leverage right there. Just putting all of them out and saying, hey, here you go. Go look and tell me what you think.
Yeah. And I actually, when I do my buyers consults, I give my buyers a stack of cards, and on the back of it, it says something along the line like, thank you for letting me view the open house. My agent will be in touch with you. So I tell people, well, if you go to an open house and you don't want to sign in and give all your personal information, hand them my card. Give them your name and hand them my card. So that way they don't try to swipe them. But we're at time already. Did it? Yeah, that was so quick. I know.
Anybody else have anything open house wise that they do that they love that we can throw out there real fast?
I was gonna say I actually use the open house app pretty regularly and have found some success with that. I love that it tags it. You can throw it to when it comes in to go right on a drip. And I also like the KV Core like qualifies the email, you make sure it's good and all that stuff.
Do you double check and call them out on it before they leave? Like, you gave me a fake email. I'm just kidding.
Actually, I've done that a couple times. Like, sure, why not? Right? It's like, you're not ghosting me, right? Like I'm, just whatever. But yeah, no, it's fine.
Well, thank y'all for showing up on this fun Wednesday. This is fun.
I have one thing that I do. I've been doing neighborhood preview nights, and
Ooh, that's a good idea.
almost like not every neighborhood's like a good neighborhood to do it at, but I have found, like, especially ones that are more like subdivisions. I've had it, the weather's good. I don't know if you guys have Kona Ice in your area, but we'll have like Kona Ice nights, ice cream truck nights. I've had like in the winter time, I've had a like hot chocolate bar. I just had one. I had to ask my broker if it was okay to do this because they had a really nice basement. So we actually had a bartender and everything came and served drinks. But she said since it was like neighborhood preview night and it wasn't like an open to the public, she said, I don't have a problem. I asked the bartender, because she's actually like whatever it's called, like a licensed bartender or something. She's like, I don't have a liquor license, can't sell anything. So even the broker was like, if you're not selling alcohol and you're giving it to them, it's different. Like, and obviously they don't have to take it if they don't want to, but if everybody was like driving over there, that'd probably be different. But it was really fun. Like, she made up like really fun little like drink names that went along with the subdivision and the area. And, I picked up some business just from that. And also, like, I've really noticed a lot of people in neighborhoods, they don't even notice that a house is up for sale until literally until like it's under contract. So, I really feel like this eases the discomfort of being the nosy neighbor, because you're literally inviting them to come over. And sorry, I'm like in a weird position looking down at the camera. Yeah, like it really like eases that discomfort. And people who live in a neighborhood, like, they're probably the ones who, they care about the property values the most in the neighborhood, and they care about, like, they probably like the neighborhood more than like, most people, and they're happy to be there. So they may know, like, a cousin, a friend, a relative, like somebody that might need a house, or they may know some, like their friend's son's looking. And if you give them an opportunity to come in that house and take a look at it, then, you know, like I said, you're easing that whole nosy neighbor thing. And the more people that you can get in that house in the first 14 days, the more likely you're going to get, you know, an over asking price offer. I mean, I really shoot to just literally that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That's when I really try to push to get the most people in the house, and really just try to drive the offers that way. And even as the market has changed, and I feel like we're not getting as many offers on houses like as I had been before, I think that it's almost been even more important to try to get more people in than ever before, because it used to be like you just put a sign in the yard, put it on the MLS, and like people just showed up. Like, and I feel like now you really have to more than ever really need to be trying to push to get as many people through the door. And doing those neighborhood preview nights, they drive the neighbors into the house, and if they like it, you know, all the better.
Yeah,
And
I'm
it's
talking about
fun.
it.
People love it. Like, people literally love it. They like love it when they come over.
That's
I like
awesome.
that idea. Like that idea. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks for winging it with us today, guys.
Yes.
Or letting us wing it for you. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the week, and we will see you guys on Friday.